Hello, my Teaserking family. How's everybody today? Sorry, trying to charge my phone. So let's look at the NFL Draft, round one. I just looked at it like 10 minutes ago, and a couple surprises and a couple idiots. Gold right now, hey, Greg and John, 23.40, up $9. It was up to 23.50. And we're in the middle of the 10 o'clock drop, which is expected. And silver at 27.50. So it went all the way down to 26.90. Now it's back to 27.50. I'm looking for gold to hit 23.75 at least today. It should really zoom in the afternoon. We'll look at baseball. Everything was already played yesterday, so we didn't really play. We played the Yankees. I don't know. NBA, I gave you the three teams that needed to win. Two of them came in. Let's look at that real quickly. So in the NBA, down 2-0 at home, must win. And we hit, let's see, yesterday. So in a must-win game, Orlando wins 121-83 over Cleveland. And that was expected. They're the 5 seed against the 4 seed. Philly blows out the Knicks 125-114. Another winner. And LA was up 10 on Denver. And I see Denver wins 112-105. That LA's done. So I wouldn't bet LA anymore. You can either bet Denver in game 4 or wait till Denver in game 5 if there is one. There's a problem there. Philly, New York should go 7, and Cleveland, Orlando should go 7. And then that leaves us today, similar situation. Milwaukee, Indy, the series is tied at 1. I'm not sure whoever won game 2, I would bet the other team in game 3. Same thing with the Clippers in Dallas. I would bet the loser back. And then Minnesota is 2 up on Phoenix. So Phoenix would be the play today because they must win. They're at home. They're going to beat Minnesota. And then both the Milwaukee, Indy, and LA, Dallas bet the loser back. So does it give us a history? It probably should. Let's go to Milwaukee, Indy. What was the test? I was testing the video of Gaddafi getting killed by Hillary Clinton to see if it would be kicked out. So I didn't want to do a 2-hour video and then I show you that clip and then the whole video is shot. So I just did a test to see if they would block it and they didn't. So I'm going to run that probably this afternoon. So let's see. Do I have... Let's see. Okay, so Milwaukee won game 1, 109-94, and then Indy won game 2, 125-108. So this is a Milwaukee bet tonight. We take Milwaukee in the NBA. I got all sorts of sheets here. So let's have basketball. So we're taking Milwaukee. In these series, the team off of a loss gets pretty pissed off. Let's see, San Diego and Dallas. Let's see what's going on here. So San Diego wins game 1, 109-97. Dallas wins game 2, 96-93. So we're going to go with San Diego or the Clippers to win game 3. And then we take Phoenix because Phoenix is down 2-0. And they're a 6 seed, so they should win. They should play their best effort tonight. we won 2 out of 3 yesterday. The Lakers are problem. Apparently, with LeBron, it doesn't matter. He's all done. So they didn't win, which is surprising. LeBron at home would lose a must-win game. Now they're down 3-0. They're just not that good. So why do I take the loser back in the first two? Because you saw it happen. One team won game one. The team that lost got pissed off. The team that won relaxes. And both teams then went 1-1. I will say that both series will go 7. And now we keep betting the loser back. So Milwaukee at Indy getting 5.5. Jesus Christ. That's a joke. And then we got the Clippers getting 4.5. That's a joke. And Phoenix, I'm laying 4.5. So the team gets pissed off after a loss. So it's psychological. They lose, they're pissed off. Here they come. So that's what they're trying to do. It's a 7-game series. And this is how college basketball should be. Instead of the stupid tournament where, did Connecticut play? No, they didn't play Kentucky, didn't play North Carolina, didn't play Duke. How the hell are they the best team? They beat shitty teams they played. And Purdue was pretty good, but not number 2. So maybe Connecticut is number 1. But you don't see, whoever the 1 seed is, Denver, Utah, whatever. You don't see them just playing, nobody and won games. And then they win, and then they're the NBA champs. No, you got to win. You got to win in 3 series to be the NBA champ. That's how college should be. So psychologically, you must. If you lose, you're pissed, and if you win, you relax. That's the way it is in anything. If you go play poker, if you're playing any game you're playing or anything you're doing, when you're successful, you relax. And when you're not successful, you get pissed off and you try to do better. And that's the NBA basketball. You lose the game. So Milwaukee's the 3 seed off of a loss is pissed off. Now, whether they win or not, we don't know. We know we're getting a great effort from them. We know they should win, but that's the other story. We don't know if they will, but we know we're getting the best effort from Milwaukee and San Diego today. And they're both higher rated teams. The fact it's on the road, I think helps Phoenix being at home in a must-win. Minnesota will relax because they're up 2-0. They don't have to win. But when you backs are against the wall, this all comes from the art of war. When the soldiers are backed against the wall, that's where it comes from. And the other team, the other army is ready to kill them. And it's either fight or die. You see that team normally wins because they don't want to die. So they get emotional, and the other team doesn't care because they're different. They're not playing. They might not die because they have the advantage. So when your back's against the wall and you're going to die, you don't give a fuck and you play your best. And that's what's happening here. So here, 1-1, Milwaukee kind of is back against the wall because if they go down 2-1 and then 3-1, the series is over. They have to win here to win the series. That's the whole point of it. All right. So who's the 1 seed? Oklahoma and Boston. See, even Boston is 1-1 with Miami. Miami beat them. We'll be betting a lot on Boston tomorrow. If the game should be in Miami, and I think Boston won the first one. I think Miami won the second. You'll be looking at that. Real D. Yo, TK the man. Thank you, Real D. Caleb Williams. I tried getting rid of that heart, but I can't seem to do it. I don't know how I put it on, and I don't know how to get it out. Caleb Williams with the nail polish stuff with the generation comes to. Yeah, I noticed that, and don't forget he cried after he lost one of the games. I don't remember, and we'll get to that in a second. So that's the point in a basketball series. See, football, you got one game. So it's do or die, backs against the wall every game. Then it goes to the best defense and Mahomes. Basketball, it's a series. Hockey, it's all the goalie, and it's too difficult to really pinpoint it. But so with that, so your picks today, take Milwaukee off the loss, plus 5.5. That's seems like a very easy pick. San Diego plus 4.5 off of a loss, and Phoenix, who's down 2-0, must win. We were 2-1 with the must wins just like that yesterday. So I'm trying to teach economics, right? So I'm asking Jenna what do you think of $25 for class? So she's like, is that for a month? And I go, no, it's each class. Okay. So she's like, yeah, that's okay. We'll see. I think that's a good starting point. So many people don't know economics. You guys do because you listen, but just most people don't have a clue. What's the latest news on what? So the latest news, I'm going to try teaching economics and football soon. We'll talk draft, baseball, little basketball. Mark McGuire's on today, but he's got a guest, Andy Scheckman, who doesn't know anything. So it's a waste of time. I started watching it, and then I want to do this. I think I'll do 2 classes today. I think I'll do this one because I wanted to talk about the draft and basketball and baseball, and then I'll get into economics today. Gold is up. It's doing the 10 o'clock hit, but it's like 23.50. So I'm looking for a 23.75 to 23.90 by the end of the day, because in the afternoon it just zooms. The 6 o'clock and the 10 o'clock price fixes kind of knock it down. So you're getting rid of this sports stuff when you have a class? Well, my class will be, no, I'll still do sports, but that'll be separately. So that'll be an economics class. Learn what money is, learn what gold is, the Titanic and all that. And then nobody understands economics or gold or money or everything I teach. And then do our normal football and baseball and that. And I might talk about the gold price, but it'll be specifically teaching economics in that class. It's just I'm in between jobs, and people say, "Why don't you teach it like you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, well, I'd rather teach it here than on go to a college because you can't make a lot of money at the college. They're not going to reward you. And, I could go to a hotel, rent a room, but I don't know. And then I got to figure out how to sort of advertise me. But no, I'll always do the football and the baseball and basketball. I'll always do the sports, and I'm sure I'll throw in some. Here's what's happening with gold because you guys need to know. But yeah, I'll be reaching out to do classes. All right, so there you have it. So basketball psychology is when a team loses, they get mad and then they try to win, and that's the whole point. Is they're going to give you their best effort. Now, is that good enough? Well, it was yesterday for 2 of the 3 teams, but not the Lakers. As do or die, and they were up 10 in the second quarter. It was a late game, so I didn't watch it. I wake up this morning, they lost by 10 to Denver. So it shows me Denver's a pretty good team. And the Lakers under pressure choked. So that's LeBron for you. So not really doing that. Lakers are done. They need to rebuild. Well, it's the LeBron show, right? So what's he, 40 years old now? So, yeah, I mean, he's, it happens to all the athletes, Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods and, anybody, Joe Montana and Dan Marino and Barry Sanders, they get older and they can't do the same. And off they go. So they have problems. All right, let's go to the NFL draft. So we got the first round in. I love this guy. Draft grades. Who scored big and who could have done? And we're looking at who the hell is this idiot? So I don't know who's doing this. It's not clear who's grading these guys. All right, so whoever's the grader is an idiot. So let's start right away. Caleb Williams, he gives him an A. I give him a Z. Terrible pick. Should have taken either Penix or Daniels. Terrible pick. The Bears had the number 1 pick fall into their lap. The pick because they suck. The pick has been done. Caleb has all the tools. Oh, really? We're watching different games, Mr. Whoever the fuck you are. To become a bona fide superstar, he'll be lucky if he starts. And then break the Bears' curse at the most important position. Okay, so the expert is an idiot. See, you got to be careful of the word expert. Anybody that calls themselves an expert isn't an expert. Right? Have you ever heard me call myself an expert? I'm the professor because I'm smart. I never say I'm an expert. So this is a terrible pick for the Bears. It's a wasted pick. It's a flop. It's a bust. He'll do nothing. Didn't do anything against Utah. Didn't do anything against Oregon. Didn't do anything against Notre Dame. Watch those games and you'll say, against good defenses, he doesn't do anything. So Green Bay, pretty good defense. Minnesota, pretty good defense. Lions, not a good defense. They'll probably have decent games against the Lions, but against the Niners, against Dallas, he won't show up. We'll bet heavily against him. Number 2 pick, Jalen Daniels, goes to Washington. Grade C+. This guy has no fucking idea how to grade. So let's LA, 6'4", 210. Pre-draft rank 20. Who's doing the pre-draft rank? Mel Kiper, the idiot who never gets anything right. The Commanders got their quarterback, but I'm only going to do this for the first round. I'm not going to waste everybody's time round 4. But it's fair to wonder if they took the right guy here. Well, who else were they going to take? Jaden blossomed in his 5th year. He blossomed in his 4th year, fella. You obviously don't watch college football. He was very good last year and then 2 years ago and last year. and final year of college football, taking home the Heisman. Oh, didn't Joe Burrow really go his last year too? He won the Heisman Trophy. Daniel is on the older side. He's how old? How old is he? Was he 40? I mean, and doesn't have elite physical tools. What are you talking about? Do you see the guy can throw really well and he's a good runner? What physical tools are you talking about? And it's a mental aspect, reading the blitz. Daniel's on the older side and doesn't have elite physical, but it's going to be an immediate asset in the run game. What are you talking about? He's not a runner. He's a passer. Drake May feels like a better fit here. Drake May shouldn't even be drafted. What the fuck are you talking about? But time will tell. Regardless, the Commanders desperately needed a quarterback, and they got one. Drake May is the same as Thurston Howell III. Why would that have mattered? So you go from one to the other. Oh, New England drafted Drake May. Oh, they won't win a game next year. I don't know how quick he starts over Zappy, but terrible. Draft grade A. All right. So we see how stupid the expert is. He hasn't gotten one right yet. He's 6'4", 230. So maybe because he's 6'4", 230, they like him. I don't know. Patriots got a dynamite prospect. Really? They got Drake May. They didn't get a dynamite prospect at all. May did a ton of heavy lifting for the Tar Heels last season, except for the Clemson game, the North Carolina State game, the Duke game. Any big game, he didn't show up. And is a player with legitimate superstar upsides. Wow, and you're the expert. Oh my God, what are you looking at? He's just 21 years old. Oh, well, that fucking matters. And has already shown flashes of elite downfield, tight window accuracy. What are you talking about? He throws up 50-50 balls to go along with fantastic running ability. We don't want a running or quarterback. We want a quarterback at quarterback. Home run pick for the Patriots as they officially start a new era. They won't win a game this year. We are going to bet against New England every fucking week that this guy starts. He's not a good quarterback. Arizona with the 4th pick, Marvin Harrison Jr. I showed you yesterday I would have taken the Washington guy, and then there was another guy, LSU guy. I would have taken both of those ahead of this guy. And there was a second LSU guy. There was some Oregon guys, USC guy. What the hell are you talking about? The Cardinals needed a receiver. They needed defense a little bit more than they needed a receiver. And they got one with Pro Bowl potential. Oh, really? You've seen him play no games. How do you say that? Marvin Harrison is a prospect, and did not see a drop in production going from C.J. Stroud to Kyle. Oh, really? You didn't see any drop in production? This also, Ohio State looked really good last year. They could score 10 points a game? This also creates depth for the rest of Arizona's roster, allowing Michael Wilson to be featured as the number 2 receiver. Kyler Murray should be rejoicing now. Oh, why? Is he any good? Arizona, they won't be any better. This pick does not help them at all because you need defense. You need a running back. Picking a receiver in the first round is stupid. It's like picking an offensive lineman in the first round. There's no value in it. Hartman and the Tulane quarterback didn't get drafted, might get drafted in the later round. Well, I'm sure Hartman will. The Tulane guy could be. That's just their mistake. I mean, how do you not draft Oakland? Why didn't Oakland draft Hartman, right? They had him, and they took Brock Bowers, and I'm really curious about that. How does Brock Bowers help him if you don't have a quarterback? I love Brock Bowers. I don't think Oakland should have. They should have drafted. I don't know if Bo Nix was available. He went to Denver, but they could have drafted Hartman at that point. But yeah, it just doesn't make sense. But again, Marvin Harrison will not help Arizona. It's not college where half the defensive backs you play are terrible, right? They're not pros. And for Kyler Murray to just go back and hit Harrison, you got to understand Ohio State's offense, like Alabama's. None of the Alabama receivers are any good in the pros. The only one that's good from Ohio State's Olave, but Smith Najima did shit for Seattle. And I don't think Harrison's going to do anything because they don't have a defense. You need defense. You got to recognize what you need. Terrible pick here. If this is who you're picking, I would have traded it. Worst pick of the draft so far, San Diego taking Joe Alt. Are you fucking kidding me? You need receivers. You could have had Brock Bowers, and you take Joe Alt, the offensive lineman with the 5th pick. Horrible pick. Easy. Draft A+. What are you kidding me? It's not the sexy pick, but it's a pick that's going to make the Chargers better immediately. Oh, really? Can he play in the pros? Do you fucking know? He's a guard from Notre Dame. You could have taken a guard from Ohio State in the 4th round who would have been the same guy. Why is he you would waste a 5th pick on him? Even though they needed wide receiver help, they also needed help at tackle and got a 10-year. Oh, he's a 10-year Pro Bowl starter. Really? You don't have a fucking clue. Offensive line is again, it's a wasted pick with the 5th pick. Terrible pick by San Diego. New York Giants. You could have had Penix. You could have had Bo Nix. You take Malik Neighbors from LSU. Not that Malik Neighbors is bad, but who's going to throw him the ball? Tyrod Taylor? Okay. Giants really needed to go quarterback here, but they weren't in love with the options. Why not? You had Penix and Bo Nix, the 2 best quarterbacks in the draft besides Daniels, and this is what you went. The Giants had a massively needed wide receiver, but they don't have a quarterback, and he's not going to do anything. He'll just do like Odell Beckham. I mean, is he good? Yeah, but he's good on LSU with Daniels, with another good receiver, with good running. Okay, so look at the whole picture, but he's not going to – on the Giants? Oh, okay, I'll double team him. Now, oh, wait, who's your quarterback again? Oh, yeah, it's Tyrod Taylor. I mean, it's you can't live with Tyrod Taylor. That's just these people drafting are insane. San Diego needs Brock Bowers, and they draft an offensive lineman when you could get the same guy in the 4th round from Ohio State or Michigan. Unbelievable. Tennessee, another terrible pick, J.C. Latham. You need a quarterback. He's an offensive line. Oh, well, he went to Alabama. He must be good because all the Alabama offensive linemen are shit. The Titans needed a tackle and got someone who profiles as a top-flight right tackle in the NFL for a long. They're all 10-year, all pros, these guys. It's amazing. But we don't have a running back. We don't have a quarterback. What, are you going to play Tannehill again? Oh, no, you're going to play the guy from Kentucky who sucks. Look for Tennessee to win about 3 games next year. This pick doesn't help them at all. Another pick you could have taken in the 5th round from Ohio State or Notre Dame or Michigan or SC or UCLA or Oregon or Washington, Any starter in the 4th or 5th round from those teams are just as good as this guy from Alabama. Sorry, I don't see it. Atlanta takes Michael Penix, and the guy gives it an F. This guy's just pathetic. First half of the day, what is going on in Atlanta? Well, they see this guy's better than Cousins is what they see. This pick makes no sense. It makes perfect sense. The Falcons signed Cousins and are now drafting a 6-year college starter. Well, a lot of college players, what are you going to say the same with Cam Rising because he's a 7th-year college player? What the fuck difference does it make? He's a 6-year. He transferred. He got injured. So he's a 6-year. What does that mean? He's still, 23, 24? To sit behind him for 2 years. Why would he sit behind him? He's better than him. Cousins is the one you'll trade that nobody will want. What sense does it make? Penix isn't the cleanest prospect and has injury concerns. What injury? Did you see with an injury the last 2 years at Washington? Did you not see him in the championship game running the ball, throwing the ball perfectly? Texas beating Oregon twice. I didn't see his knee bother him once. What the fuck are you talking about? Injury concerns. We'll find out what this looks like when he sees the field. Now he's going to see the field next year. you're out of your mind. Once they see him in training camp, he'll be the starter. He is better than Kirk Cousins by a mile. Why did they sign Cousins? Well, that's a good question because, well, they needed a quarterback. They knew they needed a quarterback. I think what happened is they never thought they'd get Penix or Bo Nix this late. I mean, this is the 8th pick. He's gone, right? He'd be 1, 2, 3. Daniels, Bo Nix, and Penix. So you're not thinking he's going to be here in the 8th pick. So that's what happened. That's like, why is gold price going down? So the Chinese can buy it cheap. That's why it's going down. But these idiots can't figure that out. Why did Atlanta draft? Because they didn't think he'd be on the board. So they took Cousins because they needed a quarterback. And now they realize, and plus he's on what? The rookie 5-year where he's cheap. You need a backup anyway. Your backup's going to be Kirk Cousins. This guy should be starting. Give him 5 or 6 games to watch Cousins. Cousins is terrible. Throws a lot of interceptions and never wins a big game. So you're not relying on Cousins, but they probably thought they'd never get this guy. So if you really wanted Penix and you think he's off the board and they didn't want to trade up, that's probably what happened. Excellent pick for Atlanta. They've got their quarterback for the next 10 years, the all-pro quarterback who is deadly accurate. Rome Odunze for the Bears, wide receiver, terrible pick. Not that he's bad, but the Bears just signed my guy from Keenan Allen, and they have the other guy, DJ Moore. What are you going to do with Rome Odunze? Sit on the bench? You need defense. You need a running back. What are you doing? So they draft this guy. Good player, bad team. Caleb and Rome Odunze now have a 3-headed monster with the long-term potential. Oh, really? Keenan's got a couple years left. Caleb won't even start. And Rome Odunze, what's he going to do? He ain't going to see the field. How many times are you going to play 3 wide receivers? And Caleb's going to be sitting there getting sacked all the time, throwing interceptions. If he plays Notre Dame, he's going to be in big trouble. So love the guy. Terrible place. You shouldn't be going to Chicago. The last thing they need is another receiver. Again, this is the GMs with their head up their asses. Well, look at Miami. Well, we'll get Tyreek Hill and Waddle. Yeah, look how Yeah, and how did that do against Kansas City? Oh, yeah, they lost 26-7. That's not the – you need defense. Defense is what wins. Look at Kansas City. Look at San Francisco. That's what wins, not 3 wide receivers. How did Seattle do? Smith-Najima and they had Metcalf and they had Lockett. Yeah, they didn't even make the playoffs. So 3 wide receivers is very stupid. You need 2, and believe me, I showed you 20 receivers yesterday, and you could get most of them in the 4th, 5th, 6th round, who are as good, if not better, than this guy. This guy's good because he had Penix. So because he's got Penix and he's got another receiver and he's got the running back, of course he's going to look good because you can't double team him. Very stupid. So, again, I like the guy. Arizona should have got him, not Harrison. But it's a waste of time on the Bears. The guy, first of all, Caleb's going to be lucky to throw the ball. He's going to get sacked so much. But secondly, is he not going to go to Keenan Allen and the other guy? How many times are you going to you're going to look for this guy when you got Keenan Allen, DJ Moore? What, are you kidding me? Fucking stupid. Raiders need a quarterback, and they got Bowers, but all the quarterbacks were not gone. Hartman's still available. And when did Bo Nix go? Let's see. Next pick. Grade Z. This guy grades it a B+. This guy's got his head way up his ass. Getting the quarterback without having to move up. They didn't get the quarterback. Too far in the draft is a solid result for the Vikings. They didn't get a quarterback. It may not be the quarterback they wanted, yeah, but it's still a solid prospect to build around, and he's walking into a great situation. He's not a solid prospect. He stinks. So Minnesota has wasted their pick. They're stuck with this guy who's terrible. Well, he's good to hand off, but they don't have a running back. Who's going to get the ball to Jefferson? Not this guy. This guy can only throw 5-yard little dinks and dunks. Look for Minnesota to win 3 games. Minnesota and the Bears will be terrible this year. Green Bay will be the best, and then Detroit, let's see what they did. Terrible pick, J.J. McCarthy, especially when 2 picks later, here's Bo Nix going to Denver. So you could have had Bo Nix. That's a big mistake. Next is the Jets. What are they doing? Offensive lineman from Penn State with the 11th pick. This guy's an extremely talented, high upside prospect. Based on what are you looking at? What do you mean he's talented? He's a fucking offensive lineman. Terrible pick by the Jets. A guy you could have got in the 4th, 5th round, like I said. Brock Bowers, was he off the board by now? No, he wasn't. So you could have had Brock Bowers, as you said yesterday, Greg and John, and instead you get an offensive lineman. What a huge mistake by the Jets. You could have added Brock Bowers with that defense and Aaron Rodgers. You still need a quarterback. Terrible pick. Denver, best pick, A+, Bo Nix. The guy gives it an F. This guy is on drugs. This guy shows you he knows nothing about football. Bo Nix, quarterback thirst has officially gone too far. There's simply no need for the Broncos to force this pick here. They didn't force it. They got one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the draft. Bo Nix does not have the profile of the quarterback that's going to save Denver. What are you talking about? Did you watch Oregon football? Did you watch the Oregon-Utah game? He's got all of what he needs. Zach Wilson and Jared Stidham will battle it out. No, there's no battle. Bo Nix is by far the best quarterback there. Zach Wilson sucks. And Jared Stidham, I liked at Auburn, but he hasn't shown much. But again, that's at New England. Bo Nix is your starter. But Nix is closer to being a backup in the NFL than a franchise starter. What the fuck are you talking about? This guy is clueless. So, no, Bo Nix should be the starter. He'll be the all-pro for 10 years, not J.J. McCarthy or Drake May. I'm sorry. This guy, this is a steal for Denver. Oakland with the next pick takes Brock Bowers. Excellent choice. How do you give the guy a B- grade? Oh, my God. Now, he says, well, they drafted Michael Mayer last year. Well, obviously, Michael Mayer sucks. You probably gave him an A for taking him. He's not very good, Michael Mayer. Brock Bowers will definitely make the offense better. However, you still need a quarterback. So are you going to rely on Gardner Minshew, who's okay, but he's a backup? He's nowhere near a Bo Nix or a Penix. So Penix, yeah, Cousins they have. They didn't need him, but they thought long-term saying, this guy's a steal. We got to take him. That's what they're thinking, and same with Bo Nix. Brock Bowers at Oakland, let's see. Maybe they'll get Hartman in the next round. Then it all makes sense. But I would have rather seen him go to the Jets or some of these other teams. New Orleans wasted their pick, an offensive lineman from Oregon State. Yeah, okay, Z. The Saints needed an offensive lineman, so they wasted one in the first round. I think what happens is they're cheaper. And I think the teams look at money and they go, I can get a lineman, and he's cheap, so let's take a lineman. Why didn't they take Hartman? Well, they got Hayner, so, they could have taken the other wide receivers from LSU or defense, although New Orleans is pretty good defensively. This is a wasted pick. Indianapolis, this pick I don't mind because he's from UCLA. Defensive lineman, UCLA. Good pick. The UCLA had a great defense. I don't mind this. Indy, God knows they need defensive help. They still need a quarterback. They got Taylor at running back. They probably need some wide receiver help, but okay, this is a good pick. Seattle, defensive lineman from Texas. I question it. Byron Murphy. Penix is off the board, so it makes sense. I would have rather seen him go to Washington for defense because the coach is Washington, but I'm talking the Huskies. Defense line from Texas. I don't. 6'1", 300 pounds. It's a wasted pick, really. Minnesota, Dallas Turner, but he's good because he went to Alabama. I didn't see this guy at Alabama at all. Linebacker for Minnesota. You need a quarterback, Minnesota. Hartman's on the board. Or did they get a second pick? Or yeah, I think they got Chicago, Washington, New England, Arizona, San Diego, the Giants, Tennessee, Atlanta, the Bears. Yeah, Minnesota took J.J. McCarthy. Okay, yeah. All right, so they wasted their first pick, and I think they wasted their second pick. Dallas Turner from a linebacker from Alabama. I think it's a bad pick. Minnesota had a pretty good defense. They needed somebody with Jefferson and a running back, so I think it's a terrible pick. Cincinnati, an old lineman from Georgia. Okay, only because he's from Georgia will I agree with this. I don't like it, although they do need offensive linemen. They need a running back, too. They got Chase and T. Higgins, So I don't know. I have a hard time with offensive linemen in the first round. Telling me you couldn't get this guy in the fourth or fifth round. The Rams, Jared Verse, defensive lineman from Florida State. They got to replace Aaron Donald, so probably not bad. They've got a quarterback. Stenson Benson is the backup. They got Pukanuka, and they got great receivers. They do need help defensively, so this was a smart pick. Pittsburgh, Troy Fontanuno, offensive lineman from Washington. See, now, why didn't Seattle take this guy? Seattle, the guy coached at Washington, and yet he doesn't take him. Pittsburgh, they need help all over the place, so give him an offensive lineman. It's a terrible pick in the first round, but okay, I think they still need some defense because TJ Watt gets hurt and they're such a defensive team, but I don't like to pick an offensive lineman in the first round at all. Not for a team like Pittsburgh. They could use running and receiving to go with Russell Wilson. Miami, Chop Robinson from Penn State, defensive end. Terrible pick. Good pick because it's defense, but not this guy. Penn State, they didn't have a good defense. Philadelphia, Quinion Mitchell, cornerback from Toledo. What a stupid pick this is. Well, that's because they're cheap, the offensive linemen. Quinion Mitchell, cornerback out of Toledo. The guy gives it an A+. This pick might be the steal of the draft when we look back. The Eagles just got a player who checks all the boxes that a team could want for a cornerback. You have all the Georgia guys. You don't need this guy from Toledo. And if he's that good, then why Toledo didn't have a strong defense last year. Terrible. But you got all the Georgia guys. You need a defensive coordinator, okay? If I'm Philly, I need a running back. I need a quarterback. I got my receivers. I got to replace my all-star center. You don't need defense. You got 6 Georgia guys on your defense. You need a defensive coordinator. You don't need this guy. Jacksonville, Brian Thomas, wide receiver, LSU. Okay, well, you still need a quarterback with Trevor Lawrence, but okay, maybe a running back. Wide receiver, I can live with it. He's out of LSU, one of Bobby's boys. Detroit, Terrion Arnold. Oh, another Alabama. So this GM loves these Alabama guys. So he took the running back from Alabama, a receiver from Alabama, a quarterback from Alabama, now a defensive back from Alabama. Oh, I didn't know Alabama had such a great defense. Detroit trades up They traded up. Oh my God, to get a quality prospect that was falling down the board at a position of need. Arnold has a chance to be the best cornerback on Detroit's team because Detroit doesn't have a defense. So that's not saying much. I don't know that I would have traded up to get this guy. I don't know where this guy is any good. Tyrion Arnold. Let me watch the Georgia Alabama game and check this guy out. But I think you got to be kidding. They did need defense, so I will give the guy credit for that. But this guy's in love with Alabama. Try following the Georgia guys, the Iowa guys, Iowa State, UCLA, the real good defensive teams, not Alabama. Green Bay, Jordan Morgan, the O lineman. Oh my God, from Arizona, terrible pick. Although I do like Arizona, but I would have, I'd rather have their defense. Graham Barton, Tampa Bay, an offensive lineman from Duke, terrible pick. Not going to help them. Arizona, Darius Robinson, defensive lineman from Missouri. Missouri had a great offense. I'm not sure they had a great defense. Terrible pick. Kansas City, Xavier Worthy, wide receiver from Texas. Speed. Well, I know they had that problem with Rice, the legal problems. This feels like a tad redundant with Marquise Brown on the roster, but that's only a one-year deal. Mahomes solves all problems, and having Rashid Rice on the roster is a nice changeup from the Brown and Worthy combo. But a 165-pound player in the first round is a bit. This guy, so he's a scat back. Okay, so he'll fit in nicely for Kansas City. That's what they like. Dallas, wasted pick, a offensive lineman from Oklahoma. Seriously, you need a quarterback, you need a running back. Is CD Lamb going to still be there? Is Micah Parsons still going to be there? Offensive lineman from Oklahoma, terrible pick. Baltimore, cornerback Nate Wiggins. I didn't know Baltimore needed defense. They need a quarterback. They need a running back. They need more receivers. This is not going to help you beat Kansas City. Even the back from Clemson. San Francisco, Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver, Florida. What are they doing? I'll have to check. I didn't recall seeing him when I looked at the stats, right? I didn't see anybody from Florida. We'll have to check that out, but this seems like a really bad pick. But what does Frisco really need? They're pretty much loaded. Carolina, I'm not sure why they're picking 32nd. Xavier Legette, a wide receiver out of South Carolina. So this is going to help Steve Young get better, having this guy? Not very good. So the steal of the draft, Bo Nix going to Denver, and the confusing one is Penix. Not that he's drafted by Atlanta, but like you said, why take Cousins? So I don't really get that. All the offensive linemen are wasted picks, are not going to help any of these teams. How is Dallas going to get better? How is, Chop Robinson from Miami? Yeah, that'll make them. They'll be able to beat Buffalo with that guy. What are you kidding me? Marvin Harrison, the Arizona was a mistake. They need defense. I mean, I think you got to understand your team. All right, Chicago took the wrong quarterback, but realized they need a quarterback. Washington got a steal in Jalen Daniels. New England needed a quarterback, but I don't think that this guy's better than Zappe. I'd rather have Zappe than this guy. What are you looking at in Drake May? Tell me what you're looking at that you think this guy's a number 3 pick in the draft. He's not close. He's not half as good as Cam Rising. He's no Penix, Nix, Daniels. He's not even close to them. He wasn't even the best quarterback in the ACC. Jordan Travis was at Florida State, unfortunately, with the injury. Miami, Tyler Van Dyke, but he wasn't. He went to Wisconsin. This guy wasn't the best quarterback in the conference. What are you doing? This is New England, so they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to draft. They can't draft wide receivers, and they got lucky with Brady. After that, what do they got? Mac Jones, who sucked. And then they got Zappy, who's very good, who they don't play. They have a new coach who's never coached before. That always amazes me. Well, why did you hire him? The guy's never coached before. And then he hired like 20 assistants. New England won't win a game next year. Neither will Carolina. And I don't think the Bears will, unless they happen to play Carolina. Terrible. New England, they're in trouble. They won't see the playoffs for at least 10 years. They don't know what they're doing. This guy, although you could have had Penix and Nix and you take this guy, this is as bad as the Bears getting Mitch Trubisky, 2.0. Caleb's not I don't know what you're seeing in Caleb that he's good. Yeah, he can scramble a little bit. The 3 interceptions against Notre Dame really make me feel confident that Caleb's the answer. Arizona, Marvin Harrison's a good player, not that good, and they need defense. San Diego blew it. They could have had Brock Bowers, would have been a perfect pick for Herbert and that defense, and they take a guard. Are you fucking kidding me? Taking a guard with that defense and Justin Herbert, and you take this guy? Oh, my God, incredibly stupid. The Giants needed a quarterback. Could have had Bo Nix. They take a wide receiver. Wide receivers in the first round do not help you. I watched the Lions take wide receivers with the first pick in the draft 3 times, and they were all Charles Rogers. He played a year, and then the guy went Roy Williams. How did that work out? It doesn't work out. That's not how you win. You win running the ball and playing defense. The Giants need defense. They need a quarterback. What good is this guy? You don't have anybody to throw him the ball. Tyrod Taylor. Or is Daniel Jones all of a sudden going to get better? Oh, my God. Tennessee, God knows they need running backs, receivers, and quarterbacks. They take this guy. What is that supposed to do? Who are you going to hand the ball off to? I love these Alabama guys get drafted like they're really good, and none of them ever are any good. Atlanta with Penix being drafted should have been higher, but I don't know. Like you said with Kirk Cousins, but I think they realized they got the best quarterback in the draft, so they took him. And Cousins stinks anyway. I don't know what anyone sees in Kirk Cousins, how he's even playing, why they wasted their time with him, but Penix is much, much better than Kirk Cousins. It's not even close. It's a good pick. You just got to get rid of Cousins now. Trade him to Oakland. That's what I would do. Trade him to Oakland, and then you start Penix. I don't know. The Bears with the receiver, stupid pick. You already got 2. The Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, unbelievable. What a wasted pick. What do you see in J.J. McCarthy that you would draft this guy at all, especially with the 10th pick? What do you see in the guy? Michigan won the national title. Georgia won 2 with Stenson Benson. He went in the 3rd round. That doesn't mean anything, or 5th round, I think. That doesn't mean anything. He didn't do anything. He handed the ball off. Against Washington, they had 4 long runs. He didn't throw anything. All he does is throw 5-yard little crossing passes. That's all he does. Jefferson won't. I mean, you might as well. I would not bet on Jefferson to in the fantasy things and the catching 100 yards 0 times. This guy's terrible. I mean, it's just pathetic. The Jets blew it. They had Brock Bauer. Denver, excellent pick. Bo Nix, who's your starter for the next 10 years. Oakland gets Brock Bowers, very good pick. He's a great player, but they needed a quarterback. Unfortunately, New Orleans had their head up their ass with the lineman. Indy, I give him, because he's from UCLA, credit there. Seattle, defensive lineman. Minnesota, Dallas Turner. Alabama, terrible pick. Cincinnati, an offensive lineman. Only if Joe Burrow asked for one. But maybe in that division. But again, shouldn't be in the first round. The Rams get a good defensive lineman from Florida State. So I don't mind getting the defensive guys because you need that. I mind when it's an old lineman, like Pittsburgh, terrible pick. Miami, a defensive end from Penn State, terrible pick. Philly, cornerback from Toledo, terrible pick. You're loaded on defense. Your trouble is not your defense, it's your defensive coordinator. When you got Matt Patricia there, that's your problem. Problem's your head coach. Jacksonville, wide receiver, LSU, okay. You still got Trevor Lawrence. The Lions, a defensive back from Alabama, terrible pick. Well, they need a defense, but I'm sure he's from Alabama. He won't be any good. Green Bay, offensive lineman from Arizona, terrible pick. Tampa, offensive lineman, terrible pick. Arizona, DL from Missouri, I don't know. Missouri wasn't the best defensive team. KC, I like the pick. He's a little fast guy. He's perfect for Mahomes from Texas. Dallas wasted a pick with the lineman. Baltimore wasted a pick with the cornerback. They have defense. The Niners, I don't know what this guy is. I'll have to look at this guy. He's 6'1", 189. You have Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. This guy's better. This guy's not. You could have got a guy from Oregon and USC who are much better than this guy. So it doesn't make sense. In Carolina, they get a guy from South Carolina. That's a problem. All right, let's check this Ricky Pearsall out. Hartman's excellent. Hartman's better than all the guys that were drafted. I mean, it was him, Bo Nix, and Penix, and Daniels should have been the first four quarterbacks. Hartman's excellent. Everyone says he's not that great. Well, who's everyone? I say he is an excellent quarterback. He was great at Wake Forest, and at Notre Dame, they ran the ball a lot more. So doesn't mean he can't play. Who you like in the second round? I would go after Hartman right away. Half the teams need it. All right, let's see. Ricky Pearsall from Florida. Let's see where this guy is. Oh, I need college. So let's see the great Ricky Pearsall. Let's go to stats. Let's see if he's in the top 10 in the SEC. Ricky Pearsall. All right. I'm not sold on this Xavier Legette to Carolina. 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns. Doesn't look like much. Ricky Pearsall, 965 yards, 4 touchdowns. Okay, what's the big deal about him? What are you doing, San Francisco? Is he there to block? 61 catches. Oh no, receptions. 65 receptions, 965 yards, 4 touchdowns. You could have had, let's see, is he even in the top 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's the 7th best in the SEC, and you're taking him in the first round. Wow. How pathetic. So I showed you yesterday the quarterbacks, and J.J. Walker was way down the list, right? I see a heart on my screen. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's a heart on the right side here. I don't know what it is or how to get rid of it, but whatever. All right, so basically, all the teams that drafted offensive linemen in the first round fucked up. Um, the biggest fuck up I see is Chicago and Washington with the biggest fuck ups, and Minnesota fucked up. I don't mind Atlanta taking Penix because he was really the best quarterback on the board at that point. He was the best quarterback on the board in the beginning. Chicago should have drafted Penix. That was a huge mistake. And or if you watch him against Oregon and even against Michigan, he stands in the pocket. He throws bullets. He's extremely accurate. He ran fine. The injuries, not a problem, didn't show up. And he beats Oregon. He's a winner. So Atlanta will do much better with him than Cousins. So I don't know. Hopefully they trade Cousins. But he's the man. I don't know what which Oregon win are you having a trouble understanding? Beating Texas, what are you having trouble with? Against Michigan, they blitzed 6 guys the whole game. So what do you expect him to do with the 6-man blitz? And he still looked pretty good. There's not a lot any quarterback's going to do when they blitz 6 and you don't run screen passes and crossing routes. So again, confused there. I thought teams like Dallas just fucked up and Minnesota just terrible. Both their picks sucked. I mean, you can't draft defensive players from Alabama. You need to draft defensive players from LSU, Georgia, Utah, UCLA, Iowa, Iowa State, Oregon. Those are your big defensive schools. That's where you go. Alabama's guys never turn out in the pros because they play the Pittsburgh Steelers system from 1972 because that's what Saban knows because he was the defensive coordinator at Michigan State for Perlis. Perlis was the defensive coordinator for the Steelers, but it doesn't work anymore. That was more stopping the run. So I think to draft that guy in the first round was a big mistake. So Minnesota got worse, not better, because they lost Cousins, and now they got J.J. McCarthy, who's not better than Nick Mullins, right? Nick Mullins is a better quarterback than McCarthy. McCarthy won't do anything out there. He'll get sacked 15 times a game. He's fucking clueless. I know Penix was the best quarterback. The team, because they listened to Mel Kiper. See, they don't know what they're doing. So Mel Kiper puts this is the best quarterback out there. I think Denver got the steal of the draft with Bo Nix. That's a joke. Look for Denver they're going to challenge KC if they get a little bit more defense and they get some running. With Sean Payton, Bo Nix can run a little bit, deadly accurate. Long, I don't know what. See, these people probably never watch Oregon and Washington football because they're probably on the East Coast, so they don't know what they're talking about. Bo Nix and Penix are the top 2 here with Daniels. And again, they badmouth Daniels. Caleb is not a good quarterback. He dances around, so he can scramble a little bit, but go watch the Oregon game. Go watch the Notre Dame game. 3 interceptions and 2 fumbles. Yeah, he looked great against Notre Dame. And you don't think you don't think people are watching that? And when the Bears play, you don't think they're going to be blitzing Caleb all day? Caleb's going to run. He's going to take the ball and he's going to start running around like C.J. Stroud, and they're going to sack him 5-6 times a game. He's going to throw 2-3 picks a game. No touchdowns unless it's some fluke with a cornerback falls down. And then you take Roma Doozy. So now you got 3 wide receivers, and you need defense and running back and all the shit you need. You're the Bears. You only won a few games last year. You still stink. You need a coach and an offense. See, their biggest problem is their offensive coordinators was a quarterback coach for a year at Seattle, and we see how Geno Smith did. So that's the biggest problem. Their offensive coordinators suck, so it doesn't matter. And they're not going to be running the Oklahoma offense at Chicago. So Caleb's going to be in a new offense, and I'm not seeing it, man. This is going to be another Josh Rosen pick, another Trevor Lawrence pick. It's going to be ugly. Look at Trevor Lawrence. He sucks. He was the first pick, and I said the same thing. Go watch my draft that year. No, he's terrible. He is. How much is Jacksonville could win the division this year. However, don't get all high and mighty on C.J. Stroud. Hartman's better than C.J. Stroud, as is Penix and Nix and Daniels. And Rising's better than all of them. But they'll say he's a seventh-year player. He can't play. Fuck. What is it you guys look for that I don't? I look for a quarterback. You guys look for somebody that can throw the ball a long way or can run. That's not a quarterback. Quarterbacks like Bo Nix and Penix, they're very fucking accurate. They can read blitzes. Denver will be great with Bo Nix. Raiders are going to struggle in that division. The Raiders need a quarterback. Raiders should have Cap Carr. He's better than Minshew at least. Well, they got a bunch of backup quarterbacks. You had the opportunity to take Bo Nix, and you didn't do it. I think they were ahead of Denver. And you still could have taken Hartman. You still can take Hartman. Or I'd be calling Atlanta for Penix, going, well, you're going to play Penix or not? I'll trade for him. So maybe they took him to get a trade. I don't know. But Atlanta really has the best quarterback in the draft, needs to play him. They can't sit him on the bench. Maybe they think Cousins stinks, and maybe he's still hurt from the Achilles, and it's going to take him longer. We'll see what Aaron Rodgers, if he's ready to go after the Achilles. So, yeah, Penix is the real deal. Chicago should have taken him. So you're going to watch Chicago struggle with Caleb, and everyone, oh, he's great. Yeah, just like Kyler Murray, just like Jalen Hurts, just like Lamar. Yeah, he's really good until they play a good team. I agree with that. He should have taken that. So now we got round 2 today. And really, all these teams wasted their picks with offensive linemen are fucked, because now anybody that's any good, wide receiver, running back, quarterback, are gone except for Hartman. Hartman's there and the Tulane guy, and that's it. And then so Oakland better pray that Hartman's available. Then that would make sense, but they should have taken, San Diego should have taken Brock Bowers. That was a huge, huge mistake. Taking the guard from Notre Dame. What a stupid draft that was. Only because you have a chance to get Brock Bowers, who's going to be an all-pro for 10 years. Unbelievable. All right. Anything else on the draft? Yeah, if they don't play him, they should just trade him. No, they should play him. They didn't draft Penix to sit on the bench. They drafted him because they realize he's the best quarterback out there, and they will play him. I guarantee it. All right, baseball. Detroit with their 110 games. I don't understand. Kids are in school now, and people are working. I don't know who's going to a 110 game in Detroit. We got Seth Lugo, 3-1 with a 2.03 against Reese Olson, 0-3 with the 3.80. Let's take a look. So right away, it looks Seth Lugo at 2.03 looks really good. Detroit, good bullpen, can hit, so they're a good under team. Kansas City, very good defense. 3-8. They only give up 70 runs. 318, 240. We're going under. This is a good under. KC under 7.5. You can see the line. The Tigers are 6.5, 7.5 over unders. Pretty good bullpen, and they can hit. So, and KC's got this guy. Now, here's the problem with baseball. So you see Seth Lugo 3-1 with a 203. Maybe he goes 6 innings. Maybe you get 6 innings. So the seventh, eighth, and ninth go to the bullpen. This is the problem. So you're betting on the starter, but like when you get these bad starters, they only go 3 innings. Some of them, they get the bullpen guy. I think Tampa the other day had 8 pitchers pitch. Each one pitched an inning. So how do you bet all this shit with the managers so quickly to pull the guys out? Okay, you pitched 100 pitches. Come on out. That's a little too much for you. You're only a pro athlete, and we don't want you to get hurt. I mean, oh my God, it's so pathetic. All right, so let's go under in the Detroit game. Oakland, Baltimore. Baltimore's been pretty hot. Big favorite here, 250, 7.5. Ross Stripling, 0-5 with the 5.34 against Corbin Burns, 3-0 with the 2.76. We look at Baltimore. They hit 263 and a 3.93 ERA, so they should score if hitting means anything. Oakland is a Z team, a 4.18 ERA, and they hit 2.07. So you can see why Baltimore's a big favorite. I like Baltimore. I know they're a big favorite, but a win's a win. So they're better all over than Oakland. So go Baltimore, beat Navy. The Dodgers and Toronto, interesting series. The Dodgers are favored. The Dodgers are favored they're 16-11, and they're favored like every game. Let's start making some money against them. And I think today we got Gavin Stone 1-1 with a 6 ERA against Bassett, 2-3 with a 3.90. We're going over with this game. LA over 9. So what this tells me is Toronto should score a lot of runs because the Dodgers, I don't think have a good, their bullpen's a 4.13. So they're definitely an over team. I mean, their starter's a 6, and then they got a 4.13 bullpen. So when they go to the bullpen, they're not really good, and they hit pretty well. And Toronto's got a weak bullpen, 4.41 and a 2.36 batting average. So bad pitching. It's like bad defense in football, right? We bet the overs because the defense sucks, as long as we have decent quarterbacks. So what we have here is definitely an over game. Yeah, go over. The Cubbies in Boston. We got the Cubs are 110, 7.5. We got Shoto Igmanaga, 3-0 with a 0.84 against Cutter Crawford, 1-0. Jesus Christ. Here's our 10-star. We're going Cubbies under 7.5. This is our 10-unit play. Look at these pitchers. Now, how long will the pitchers pitch? We're hoping we get 7 innings out of them. You got a 0.84. I got us 3-0 with a 0.84. So he's real. And Cutter Crawford, I've been keeping an eye on, 1-0 with a 0.66. You're not going to see scoring in this game. Boston's hitting hits 228, so they're not going to score, with a 2.52 ERA. And then we got the Cubbies. They got a 4.12 ERA and hit 248. So we're looking at a 1-0 game here. Cutter Crawford should both throw shutouts for 6-7 innings. It's amazing. And then you'll see 3 runs, and you're like, the guy's got a 0.66 ERA. What do you mean you got 4 runs in the first inning? I get amazed when I see that, but we got to bet the game before they start. So I got to go under here, and this is our 10-unit. Play of the day. The Cards and the Mets. We got the Mets at -130, over under of 8. Miles McCullough, 1-3 with a 6.49. He's a pig against Jose Berto, 0-0 with a 1.65. As this guy, how many games has Jose Buto pitched? So against Detroit, he pitched 6 innings, gave up 1 run. Against KC, pitched 6 innings, gave up no runs. And against the Dodgers, pitched 4 innings, gave up 2 runs. So he looks pretty good. I mean, Detroit you can't count because they can't hit, but KC can hit. Miles McCullough is terrible. Let's see. Do the Mets, can any of them hit? The Mets hit 250, which is pretty good. St. Louis hits 220. Yeah, we're going to go Mets. The JETSs, and they're a 130 favorite. Yeah, they're at home. Okay. Washington and Miami. We got Miami at 135. We got Trevor Williams for Washington, 2-0 with a 2.91 against Miami. Anthony Maldonado, 0-0 with an 0.00. Has he pitched yet? And no stats. So here's another new pitcher. How the fuck do you analyze this guy, right? Washington, 2-0 with a 2.91. You don't know what you're getting with Andy Maldonado. Washington, Miami. Washington hits 233. Weak bullpen. Miami hits 216. Weak bullpen. We can take Washington. We're not betting them. We can play them. Cleveland, Atlanta. Atlanta 17-6. Well, this is a good series. Cleveland 18-7. Two A teams. Atlanta's a 225. What, are you kidding me? Against Cleveland? Logan Allen, 3-0 with the 5.06. Chris Sale, 2-1 with the 4.38. Over under 8.5. We're going to go over Cleveland. Over 8.5. Chris Sale is not what he used to be. Let's make this a 5-unit. So the Cubs are the 10-unit. Cleveland's going to be the 5-unit. Or Cleveland over, I'm sorry. Tampa Bay and the White Sox. Tampa's a huge favorite in Chicago. Chicago's 3-22, and they hit about 150. Okay, Zach Eflin 1-2 with a 3.68 against Chris Flexen 0-3. Over under 7.5. I don't trust Zach Eflin to win, so it's over or under. And you can't. What are you going to do here? So the pitcher's not strong enough to keep the game under. Probably an over, but I can't take Chicago. Although the games with Minnesota all went over, even though neither team hits 200, they scored 8, 9, 10 runs a game. Let's leave that alone. Cincinnati, Texas 175-9. Graham Ashcraft 3-1 with a 5.24 against Nathan Eovaldi 1-2 with a 3.30. Can either team hit? Cincinnati. They hit 227, 392 against Texas. It's 254. Yeah, Texas is pretty much an over team. Let's go over here. Let's go Texas over 9. Yankees, Milwaukee. The Yankees have been struggling. 17-9, Milwaukee 16-8. Yankees 125 favorite, 8.5 over under. Luis Gil 1-1 with the 2.75, and Colin Ray 2-0 with the 2.08. Let's go under here. Over under 8.5. Milwaukee under 8.5. Minnesota against California. Minnesota's a 115 and an 8 over under. Bailey Ober 1-1 against the 4.91 against Patrick Sandoval. Let's go over here. Minnie's been hitting the ball over 8. And let's do this as a 5-unit. Arizona, Seattle. Arizona's a 137.5. Zach Gallen 3-1 with a 3.0 against Emerson Hancock 2-2 with a 6.0, and you got a 7.5 because I think Seattle can't hit the ball. Seattle's hitting 225 and Arizona's 250. Pretty good bullpen. Seattle, decent. I gotta love this game over. So go Arizona over 7.5. That makes no sense. We'll play that for 5 units. I don't understand that. They're terrible pitchers. They can hit okay. I'm going to have to not take that. I'll take it in a little bit. Philly, San Diego. Yeah, Philly, San Diego. Philly 115-8. Aaron Nola 3-1 with the 3-1-6 against Joe Musgrave, 3-2 with the 5-7-4. Over under of 8. San Diego hits 250. Philadelphia hits 240. 3-5. Let's go over. Philly over. Philly over 8. San Diego's pretty good. See, I think what you got to realize is what's a good batting average and what's a bad batting average. So I think these teams under 200, like Minnesota, Chicago White Sox, yeah. But I think 250 and up's pretty good batting average in baseball because every team's got these shit players who shouldn't be in the league who are hitting about 150. I mean, I go through some of these lineups. There's 5-6 guys hitting under 150. What are they doing in the major leagues? It's just I don't understand it. So let's look at that, and we will go from there. And the last game is the Steelers against the 49ers, a great football game. Frisco's a 150 favorite 8. We got Quint Priester 0-1 with an 8.31 against Joe Montana is going to take them out for the Niners. 2-1 with a 5 ERA. This is going to be another San Fran over 8. This will be another 10 unit. And I'm not going to take the call, but I want to see what was it? $3,899. Don't know what it was. 3,899. That's a new one. Maybe it's on job. I had some guy call me this morning about gold. He says, do you buy gold and silver? You know anything about gold and silver? And my response to him was, I doubt you're at my level. And then he hung up. I was like, where are you getting my name and number from? Asking me about gold. I teach it. I don't need, what are you going to tell me, to buy it? Yeah, I'm way ahead of you, fella. I've been buying it for about 5 years now. What are you telling me? So anyway, yeah, if they don't play him, they should trade him. Well, yeah. You're still there, John. Okay, so we've got the last game. Take the Niners over 8. So let's go through it. NBA tonight, we got Milwaukee plus 5.5, San Diego plus 4.5, and Phoenix minus 4.5. Let's call them all 5 units. Major League Baseball, KC under 7.5, which is a 1:00 game, and it's 11:40. We got Baltimore. We got the Dodgers over 9. They seem to hit a lot and can't pitch. Our first 10 unit is the Cubs under 7.5. Both pitchers under 1 ERA. This will be interesting. The Mets, Washington, Cleveland over 8.5, 5-star. Texas over 9. Milwaukee under 8.5. Minnesota over 8 is a 5-star. Arizona over 7.5 is a 5-star. Philly over 8 and San Francisco over 8. So we have 5 picks. The Cubbies under 7.5 is the big 10-star, and then Cleveland over 8.5, Minnie over 8, Arizona over 7.5, and San Francisco over 8, 5 units, small bets. So the rest are picks that if you are thinking of betting Baltimore, I like them, then bet them, but I'm not betting them. There's too many games. I'm trying to clean it up to the best ones to bet. The basketball, I bet them all. That's a different animal. Those are teams that need to win versus teams that don't need to win. And the teams that need to win all the time win. Most of the Lakers didn't yesterday, but the other two came in. So we were 2-1 yesterday, and teams that were down 2-0 needed to win and won, and they won easily. Philadelphia, and I don't remember the other one, but not a problem. And then the Lakers with LeBron, the one team you felt good about gets killed. So Denver must be a hell of a team. So I'll be careful not to bet against Denver. And as the playoffs go on and you get rid of these 8, 7, 6 seeds, and now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, then this really heats up to even better bets because this is exactly what you're looking for. Denver playing Oklahoma and two good teams. So whoever wins game one, we betting back on game two, the loser. And you keep betting the loser back because they're mad they lost. The team that won, relax. It's just human nature. After you're done, you relax. That's what happens when you win. You win, you relax. You lose. What happens when we lose? When we lose a bet, we get mad, right? We're like, fuck, how did that happen? And then we work back upset to try to win the next hand. I mean, it just upsets you when you lose. So you fight hard to win. So that's the psychology, and it works 80% of the time. It's beautiful. Who do you like, Celtics or Lakers? I was always a Magic fan. I like Magic. Bird was okay. I didn't like McHale and Parrish, but I like Kareem and Magic. So I was Lakers. But the Lakers obviously suck now. LeBron, I've never been a fan of because I didn't like how he'd drive the lane. Somebody would go like that and be a foul every time. It was like, okay, this is ridiculous. That's when I stopped watching. It was when LeBron came in. It was too hard to watch. I mean, he got all the calls. It was like, what are you kidding me? So couldn't watch that. It wasn't real basketball. I was used to Isaiah and Bird and Magic and all those guys, Stockton and Malone. A whole different game, and it was not very interesting. That's the problem. You can't go changing the rules. Now the analytics ruined it because now they say, you know what? If you get 3 points versus 2, so take all the 3 points. That's because you get 3 versus 2. They don't say, but the odds on getting them are like 10%. The odds on hitting a dunk are like 100%. So they get away from the probability that you're going to make it, just that it's worth 3 points. Duh. And there goes the game. The game sucks. Well, I don't know where Bobby is. I haven't seen him in a while. He was on like a week and a half ago with me and Luke. I did a late one. So maybe he's doing something during the day. Maybe he's working at Kroger's. And he can't, and then he watches them late. I know he watches them after, but that's it. So we got round 2. We just went through baseball. There's one early game, the Tigers, and then we just went through basketball, the draft. It's 2 rounds tonight. We will talk about that tomorrow. Most teams are clueless, as you can see. And the analyst here, Bo Nig, what a terrible pick. Look what he did at Oregon. Weren't they such a bad team? And then you look at J.J. McCarthy, and what did he do at Michigan in 2 years? He sucked. He handed the ball off, and they ran the ball. Why would you take that quarterback? At what point do you think he's any good? He's not. He's terrible. He can't complete a pass. All he does is throw 5-yard passes. It doesn't tell you anything about the guy. Certainly not in the first round. Maybe in the 5th round, you take J.J. Sort of like when they took Stenson Benson from Georgia. He'd won 2 national titles. He went in the 5th round with Haener. Okay, that's where McCarthy should have went. That's where Drake May should have went. They're not top 10 talent at all. Drake May reminds me a lot of Josh Allen. You know, he can throw it far and he can run. Oh, yeah, but he's not a quarterback. He's not Mahomes or Burrow. He's not a Herbert. He's not a Stafford. He's not a Penix or a Bo Nix. Right? And he's no Cam Rising. So I can't wait to hear what this guy says about Cam. He's a 7th-year quarterback and, had a knee injury. Oh, my God, he had a knee injury. He can't barely walk. Now, the one you worry about is Mackenzie Milton and then Jordan Travis from Florida State. That's who you worry about. those guys can barely walk. So you're not going to sit there and, you're not going to sit there and talk about injuries, talk about Jordan Travis. Is his foot sticking the right way or is it still going backwards? That's what you need to do. But these guys, they're very clueless. The bad defensive team should be taking defense, and they're not. That's the only thing I will give credit to the Lions. They did take a defensive player, but not the right one. Not the guy from Alabama. Is not a first-round pick. They should have went to UCLA or Iowa or Utah. Utah has some really good corners. UCLA, that I would have been happy with, not Alabama. Georgia corners, absolutely. Alabama, they're just a system school. That's why their quarterbacks suck. Their running backs don't do anything. Their receivers do nothing, and their defense does nothing. Cam Rising, is he that good? Cam Rising's better than all the quarterbacks in this draft. Raiders can tank and get him next year. Well, they don't even have to tank. Don't tank. You just trade for him. Now you can trade Michael Mayer, the tight end from Notre Dame, who apparently sucks, and you trade him and your first pick, and you get the first pick. But the way it looks, he won't even be the first quarterback taken. It'll be some running guy at Georgia Tech or something. It'll be Haynes King. He can run pretty well, so let's make him the number one quarterback. I mean, where they got Caleb as the number one is just a joke. I mean, when I told you his stats, so let's go back here and let's go through these stats one more time. So let me back up what I say, why I say it. So we first look at Bo Nix, 45 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Jalen Daniels, 40 touchdowns and 4 picks. This is what matters, is how many times you get in the end zone and how many interceptions you throw. Then we got Penix at 36 and 11. Okay. Joey Aguilar from App State, Oakland took that guy, they'd be in the playoffs. He's very good. And then we get down to Caleb. 30 touchdowns, 5 picks, and 35 sacks. Throws for 300 yards, 68%. So when we run it up, Bo Nix 45 and 3, Daniels 40 and 4, and Penix 36 and 11. Even Aguilar's 33 and 10. And then you get the Caleb, who's 30 and 5. He only threw 30 touchdowns on that offense. That's ridiculous. And 5 picks. But he took 35 sacks and he had a bunch of fumbles and watched the Notre Dame game. I can't believe he only got 5 picks. He got picked 3 times from Notre Dame. And I know he got picked against Utah. I watched those. So I don't know if 5 picks is right, but let's say it is. I got to watch the UCLA game. I thought he got picked a few times there too. So I thought he had like 10 picks. But he didn't do anything against UCLA and Utah, the really good defensive teams, or Oregon. And then we saw against Notre Dame, they got killed. So that's what's going to happen. So it's not like Caleb had, Bo Nix, 45, 3, and 5 sacks. Penix, 36 and 11 with 11 sacks. Now, this is the guy, he's hurt. You want to tell me Penix is hurt? Yeah, bullshit. 36 and 11 with only 11 sacks. He ain't hurt. He scrambles around. He runs. He's got no problems. Is Aaron Rodgers hurt because he hurt his Achilles? How about whatchamacallit? Cousins. Cousins did an Achilles. So do you rather have Cousins who just hurt his Achilles, or Penix, who looked pretty fucking good, beating Oregon twice and Texas, and really was at a disadvantage against Michigan when they're rushing 6-7 guys every time because Michigan couldn't get there with 4. So Michigan's defense is not that good. It's just an attacking style, and we're going to rush 6, and you only have 5 to block. So all you need to do is keep a couple guys in and block them. But Washington has good receivers, so they're trying to get it out there. But that's the thing. So at what point is Caleb at 30-5 better than Penix, Nix, and Daniels? What that far ahead of them? Oh, he's the real deal. He cried when they lost. I don't know what game it was, Washington or Oregon, or I don't think it was UCLA. He cried. He's sitting in there bawling because they lost. Like, this is not a man. So at what point are you saying Bo Nix sucks and Michael Penix, oh, he's terrible, and then you've got Caleb 35 sacks. That means he doesn't know what to do with the ball, and he runs back and forth, and he gets sacked a lot. What do you think he's going to do on the Bears? They don't have any offense. They got a few receivers. They got no running attack, and I don't know what they do with their offensive line. Let's say they're all from Notre Dame, but they got a terrible offensive coordinator and a terrible head coach. So he's going into a Carolina situation. They'll be lucky to win 4 games. Honestly, I don't see where he helped them. I think they would have been better with Fields because Fields at least runs around. Like, Fields was a good runner, terrible quarterback, no passing, but he was a good runner. And here you got Caleb here. I just don't see it. I don't see what you're saying with Caleb, that he's so much better than Nix, Daniels, and Penix. Those are your top 3. Denver got a steal. Atlanta, maybe they don't think Cousins is going to be ready, or they know he's a choke. Again, they took what they needed, and then not thinking they're going to get Penix with the 8th or 9th pick and getting them. I think that's what happened. It's, it's like there's this really hot girl and you want to date her, but I'll never ask her out. She'll never be available. So you go out with this other girl who's okay, but not as hot as the blonde. And then there's the blonde sitting there, and she says yes. And like, well, I'm not going to turn down the blonde. That's who I wanted in the first place. The other one was insurance. So Cousins is the insurance, where Penix is the hot blonde. So that's where I'm at with that. I just and then all these teams taking offensive linemen, huge mistake. You can't tell me that an offensive lineman from Notre Dame or Ohio State or Michigan who started is not just as good as this Joe Alt guy from Notre Dame. Is he that good? Notre Dame had trouble scoring against Ohio State, if I remember. Lost to Louisville. They couldn't do anything. And then Duke. Offensive line is not the place to go and waste the first-round draft pick, because all they got to do is blitz you and have, what are you going to do against Aaron Donald? He ain't going to do shit. Okay, Aaron Donald's out of the league, but TJ Watt or Baltimore defense, Pittsburgh's defense, what's he going to do? Well, he's on Joe Walt's on who took him? San Diego. What are they going to do against Kansas City with Joe Walt? Okay, you think they're going to be able to do anything? Those scores will be like 3-0 Kansas City. Because San Diego's going to have a defense. He's got the Michigan defensive coordinator, so he's going to play this 6-man rush, and they're going to get buried by Mahomes. Mahomes will show you how to beat it. But San Diego won't be able to do anything. They won't be able to throw because they don't have receivers. They won't be able to run. Oh, you got Joe Wall. Well, that's really going to help you. So I just don't see that pick when you could have gotten a starter from Ohio State, Michigan in the 4th round who's just as good as Joe Alt. And now you passed up the receivers you needed. You passed on Brock Bowers, who's a once-in-a-generation tight end, for a guard. I mean, what, are you out of your fucking mind? I mean, you obviously are out of your fucking mind. So I don't understand that. Harbaugh's not been known for his intelligence. That's for sure. And I wonder if they'll cheat there by video camming everything like New England did. So we'll look it'll be Carolina without any wins. New England won't win a game next year. Jacksonville will be way down. Tennessee won't win any games next year. Is going to be a lot more bad teams because they don't know how to draft. all this, and they take offensive linemen. That's the problem. Here's San Diego has a chance to get Brock Bowers and challenge Kansas City, and they don't. And then Denver passes them with Bo Nix. Denver had a much better draft with Bo Nix than San Diego is going to do with an offensive lineman. It's insane. Offensive lineman, I mean, look at Dallas, had the best offensive line for 5 years, didn't win shit. Offensive lineman doesn't. How good's Kansas City's offensive lineman? They're San Francisco's. Are they any good? I watched San Francisco play Baltimore, and Williams, their left tackle, who's all pro, got hurt in the game. Baltimore, all of a sudden, their guy Clowney had like 5 sacks in a row on Purdy. How did that work out? Oh, he got hurt, and they got crushed. So I mean that's the joke of it. It's so meaningless. I mean, because the guy got injured. The guy doesn't get injured. Baltimore is, look at Baltimore against KC. So I don't know how good KC, San Francisco after that game, they looked fine in the playoffs. I mean, so it's not the line. It's having McCafferty and having Deebo Samuel and having Purdy. That's why Frisco and Kansas City goes to the Super Bowl, and Cincinnati with Joe Burrow went, and Frisco with Stafford went, and they'll be back with Puka. I look for the Rams to give the Niners all they want. Seattle, nah. I don't like their coach, and I don't like their draft, and I don't like their quarterback. Raiders can tank, yeah. Sanders, they will have as a number 1 quarterback. Well, he's going to Dallas. They're going to make Prime the coach and him the quarterback. Offensive lineman is not tough. They're all the same. There's no credit to give them. I mean, it's not hard to block somebody for 3 seconds. You're a big guy, and you're playing big guys. So that's why I'm saying if you started at Ohio State, you're just as good as anybody taken in the first round. Okay? Because if you're starting at Ohio State, you're a good lineman, right? Bottom line, you're very good if you're starting at Ohio State. So take the guy in the 4th round. I mean, there's 5 linemen on Ohio State, so take one of them in the 4th round. Who's going to be just as good as this Notre Dame guy or these other guys that are absolutely – how the fuck do you know if they're any good? That's the point. Like you're saying, Greg and John, offensive lineman is tough because you can see Bo Nix and Penix throw touchdowns all over and win games. The offensive linemen at Oregon, I'm sure, are very good. And at Washington, there you go. See, my point is the strategy. If I need an offensive, if I'm San Diego and I need an offensive lineman, in about the 3rd round, I'm taking an offensive lineman from Oregon or Washington or Texas or Ohio State. There's got to be, that's 20 offensive linemen. They all have 5 starters. That's 20 guys. Maybe 15 are in the draft. Take them in the 4th round. And you want to help your line, there you go. So if I'm San Francisco, I take Oregon's offensive lineman in the 4th round, if they're even drafted. But the way San Diego, you can't get Brock Bowers in the 4th round. That's the point. I got to take Brock Bowers in the 1st round because that's when he's available. And there's only one Brock Bowers. There are not 2 or 3 Brock Bowers. There's one. There's one 20-year generation tight end out there, Brock Bowers. You're not going to see him again for a long time. And that's my point. Just like this Oklahoma State running back, you're not going to see this guy. He's Jim Brown. He's power and speed. You don't see it. He's a generational type of back, and you got to take him in the 1st round, not wait for the 4th round, like hope he'll be there. That was Chicago's problem. They took Caleb, and they could have had Penix. And then you're leaving Denver with Bo Nix is a joke. I mean, and look at Minnesota and and New England got egg on their face. They did not take the best quarterbacks. People might, Go look at Drake May's game films on ESPN. There's a whole Drake May highlights. Go watch the Clemson game when he goes. They don't get a first down the whole half. And go watch that game and say how good Drake May is. It's sort of like when I'm riding the bike at the club and the guy's shooting 3-point shots alone. Yeah, have somebody guard him and let's see how many he makes. So Drake May might look good in shorts at a draft day, but look at him in a game. He doesn't show up. If he was any good, North Carolina should have won the ACC. Just like Penix won the Pac-10, and Bo Nix was right there with them. Because Rising didn't play, Utah was not challenging for it. Because UCLA didn't have a quarterback, they weren't there. USC had a quarterback, but they sucked. Colorado had a quarterback, but they didn't have a defense. But Washington and Oregon were the real deal, and that's why they won, and that's why they both should have been in the playoffs. Oregon was a joke not being there. They were far better than Texas and Michigan. Michigan had no business being there. And neither did Alabama. Georgia should have been there, and Oregon, Florida State. It was just absolutely ridiculous. But that's why it's not a playoff. I mean, how do you have a playoff without Georgia and Oregon in it last year in Florida State? How the fuck do you have a playoff? And you got Michigan in it, a team that played nobody, and they're in the playoff. Okay, wow. So that's my point. You just you're not giving credit to Bo Nix and Penix. You're not giving Penix any credit for getting him into the playoffs and beating Texas single-handedly. Why aren't you giving him credit? I mean, okay, yeah, Dylan Henderson, the running back. Why isn't he drafted? Oakland should draft him. They need a running back. If Hartman's on the board, Oakland should take Hartman. And then you're going to see Kansas City sweat because now you got Herbert, Bo Nix, Hartman, and Mahomes in the league, and that'll be the best division in the NFL with those quarterbacks. I'm not sure Pittsburgh shouldn't go after Hartman. Even though you got Russell Wilson, there's a problem with him, and he's older. And if you get Hartman, you solve a lot of problems. See. Here's where the problem lies in. Houston and Carolina and Jacksonville need quarterbacks, and Dallas and Baltimore. And if they took Hartman in the second round, it'd be all done. But they're not smart enough to recognize that they fucked up. Would you rather have Hartman or Dak Prescott? I mean, it's not even close. Hartman's much better than Prescott. So Dallas has a chance to draft the guy and then get rid of Dak Prescott, but they won't. And so how many playoff games are going to win? None. How'd they do last year against the Lions? They barely won. How did they do in the playoffs of the Niners? Oh, they got killed by 30 because Prescott, how many interceptions did he throw in the game? So what do you want to keep losing in the playoffs, or do you want to win? Get a winner. Hartman's a winner. Penix is a winner. He showed you that. He won the Pac-10, which was the toughest conference in the league in the college last year. Certainly wasn't the Big Ten. You're rewarding J.J. McCarthy for beating nobody. There was no good team in the Big Ten, and then he beat Alabama on a fluke because Milrose, who's a second-string quarterback, fumbled the ball, or Alabama wins that game. And then he beats Washington. He doesn't do anything. He throws for 100 yards and basically handed the ball off, and they ran in 4 touchdowns. That's how McCarthy did it. He handed the ball off. Well, good luck handing the ball off at Minnesota. They don't have a running back, and you got Jefferson who's going to sit there and cry because he's not getting the ball. The chances you're better off with Nick Mullins than you are with J.J. McCarthy. So we will see. We will see if he even starts, but if he does, Minnesota's in big trouble. If that's who you're going to, you're in big trouble. See, that's like the Trey Lance pick. So everybody, Trey Lance went third to the Niners, right? Which is fine. But I told you he sucked. He didn't play. They wasted the third pick. Well, that's what's happened here. It's the same thing. You've got Well, like Zach Wilson and then Sam Darnold. I told you they all suck. That's the same thing here. So you're drafting uh, Drake May and JJ McCarthy, and they suck. It'll be another Trey Lance and another Sam Darnold. They're not good. They were never good. I don't know what you're looking at that you think they're good, but they're not. Anyway, I think that's it. So that's the draft. We got the baseball picks. The Cubs are the 10 start, and Cleveland over, Minnie over, Arizona over, and San Francisco over. Those are your baseball picks. The basketball is take Milwaukee in 5.5, San Diego plus 4.5, and Phoenix minus 4.5 tonight. And that's it. And then we'll review day 2 of the draft and see how these idiots GMs fucked that up. We'll see that tomorrow. I'll come back. I'm going to go swim. I will come back and we'll talk gold. Let's just take a look at what gold is doing now, our favorite subject. I can't believe somebody called me and asked me about gold. I'm like, you're not at my level. I don't know. Gold's at 23.36, still up 6. The 10 o'clock hit happens again. But now I think we should be good. I think it dropped it from 20, it was 23.52 at about 9:30, and then it slowly dropped it to 23.39, and then back to 23.42, and then down to 23.32, and now we're starting to go back to 20. We'll end up in the 23.50s, not a problem. Silver 27.23. It's just price fixed really badly. The question, there's a double fold question, is why does JP Morgan short it? And because they have the monopoly on the dollar. So it's in their best interest to keep you in the dollar and keep you out of gold. That's why they short it, because they have the monopoly on printing the money. That's why they do it. They don't, if you had a monopoly, let's say you're De Beers and you have a monopoly on diamonds, you don't want anybody in rubies and sapphires. You want everybody in diamonds, although they don't do a good job of that, but that's what they want. I hate these idiots. Oh, that was held in review. I had to review that one, Greg and John. Which idiots do you hate? The gold idiots or the GMs? Which idiots? Again, you're talking in riddles, Greg and John. You can't make a statement like that, because I go too many subjects. So when you say I hate these idiots, are you talking about the football idiots? I assume. See, we take advantage of it. By staying stoic, we bet at the government. Well, everybody hates the government because they're all crooks. They're all paid off by people. But that's why they keep gold and silver down, is because since JP Morgan has the monopoly on dollars, they want you in dollars. However, they don't realize you can't keep printing them. There will be consequences. But that's what the MMT guys tell them. Oh, you can keep printing, and you can't. And so therefore, what you end up getting is the devaluation of the dollar, which you think will never happen because nobody's interested in gold until here comes Russia, China, BRICS, Zimbabwe going, no, we like gold. And now the choice between the dollar and gold. That's why they try to keep the gold price down, is to get you and keep saying that buy stock instead. Although they don't want you in Bitcoin, they want you in stock or the banks or real estate trust, all the bullshit Ponzi schemes, which is why I tell you to get off the Titanic. I had to review I Hate These Idiots. It said to review it. So stuff like that I had to. But I don't care. That doesn't bother me. That's okay. It's just there's certain questionable things. I'm the administrator. I gotta okay it, which unless you're doing something personally at me, if you were calling me an idiot, I wouldn't okay it. But if you're just saying that, then yeah, I have no problem with it. Anyway, I'm going to the pool, do my workout, have some lunch. I got to see who called. Maybe it's a job. And that's about it. So let me go, and I will be back after swim. We will talk gold. 23.36 right now, 27.28 silver. I was starting to watch Mark McGuire, but he had Andy Scheckman on it, so we're not getting any value from that idiot. I showed you Egon yesterday, and I will show you Gaddafi, how Hillary Clinton murdered him and blew up Africa and fucked Africa over by they had a big underground pipe which is taking the water from the Aegean all the way through the desert. And everybody would have had water. There wouldn't be any more starvation in the desert because they'd all have water. And she blew it up. If you can fucking believe that, I can't believe they blew it up. What is the point? Call from Arkansas. What is it? Jerry Jones? All right, I'm going to end this. Have a nice day. I'll be back later.